Hey, what's up everyone? Doing a video today on the OEM C6 ZR1 mufflers. I'm asked quite often, why do I run them? Why don't I run something aftermarket, especially on such a highly modded car? Aren't I worried about hurting power? And also, what is the muffler mod? Some people don't know. So I'm gonna go into detail, break this all down. I apologize, it's probably gonna be a lengthy video. I try to be as thorough as possible and break it down and give as much information as possible, and also give to you my real world experience that I've experienced firsthand. So back in 2011, I had a C6 09 Z06 that I did the muffler mod to, and I really liked it. It was awesome, sounded great, nice improvement. The muffler mod consists of opening up the exhaust, sealing off the perforated holes on the loud side of the exhaust, reinforcing the baffles because they are known to break. They'll crack and bust basically under high power or boost. There's fiberglass packing in there that you can remove, put it back in. I put it back in the two times I did it on my Z06 and my first ZR1. And you can also take the piping in there because it does step down. It's a 3-inch exhaust, but it steps down to 2 1/4. So you can remove that piping and put 3-inch in there if you want, but really not necessary. I've heard claims that you can gain 7 to the tire, 10 to the tire with putting the 3-inch piping in there, but I have never personally seen it, and I have seen someone that did do that mod on their Z06. Both of our cars were on the same dyno, days apart mind you, but extremely similar mods, like same cam, same heads, both ported fast inductions. Either way, the power level, the mufflers didn't make any difference. We were like within a couple horsepower of each other. And it just kind of dawned on me, if it's not restrictive, putting the 3 in there isn't gonna make any more power because it's not a restrictive factor to begin with. Having one 3-inch pipe versus having two 2 1/4-inch piping, the two 2 1/4-inch piping flows more than the one 3-inch pipe. So I've also conducted my own testing, and I'll go into that now. With my first ZR1, this is back now 2013, I didn't do the muffler mod right away. I ended up doing a Corsa Sport exhaust. It's a full 3-inch exhaust, a true 3-inch, and the car was making at the time 726 and 724 to the tire, which at that time, it's about all ZR1s were really making, boost only. They weren't making much above that. It's about the limit you could go. And I was making right at 15 pounds of boost. I believe it was on a 2.6 upper, 14% lower, all that good stuff. And for the most part, I liked the Corsas. They sounded great, really good sound to them. They're great on a stock ZR1, but on a modded ZR1 with long tube headers, no cats, the drone was awful. Like trying to hold a conversation in the car while driving and at a cruise, it'd give you a headache. Seriously, like any long drive, like if I drove it for an hour straight, you'd get a friggin' headache. And it was just enjoyable. I didn't like driving it anymore at that point. My wife would complain about it. So I ended up going back to the stock exhaust. Before putting the stock exhaust back on, we did the muffler mod to it. And with the ZR1, some people don't know, but between a Z06 and ZR1, they're opposite, meaning when you open them up internally, on a Z06, the perforated holes internally are on the loud side. On a ZR1, it's on the quiet side. They're just flopped. People say the ZR1 comes with the muffler mod already, and it doesn't, because yeah, the loud side on a ZR1 is sealed, the quiet side isn't. And I'll go into some more details on that in a second. But anyways, did the muffler mod. We put the car on the dyno before I pulled off the Corsas because I was really curious. I want to see, what am I losing now because I'm doing this? Come to find out, I lost nothing. We did the baseline with the Corsas, pulled them off, put the modded ZR1s on, did another dyno run, 0 loss. Made the same power. So that's at 700 to tire. So obviously it's not a restrictive factor, guys. Not at 700, not at 800, probably not at 9. I did see restriction at over 1,000 on my 13 ZR1, pushing way more boost, way more power, but I'll get into that in a sec. Let me give you some fun facts real quick. Some people don't even know that C6 Z06s, if you had a mid-year 2011 through 13, they already came with ZR1 mufflers, and you could tell by the perforated tips and the part number. 06 through early 11s are Z06 mufflers, and you can tell by their part number and their non-perforated tips. But again, if you open them up, you'll see the difference that the loud side and quiet side are flip-flop for the perforations internally. 09 through 13 ZR1s have ZR1 exhaust. They're unique to itself, but the Z06, like I said, got them later on. Now back to my 13 ZR1 that I have, my second ZR1 that I got back in 2015. I didn't touch those mufflers, I left them alone. I was told that there's this misinformation out there that, the later ZR1s and Z06s, that their mufflers are already sturdy, they're bulletproof, they're good to go out the box, they've been upgraded. That's BS. They're not. I've seen the openings of a set of 06 Z06 mufflers, 09 ZR1 mufflers, 10s, 11s, and 13s. They're all the same strength-wise. There's no difference, no reinforcements. The only difference is the loud side and quiet side that they're reversed, but it's all the same crap. Not one is stronger than the other. I got lied to on that, but shit happens. Live and learn. So I had my 13 ZR1 for a week. It was brand new, bone stock. Dynoed 540 the tire. Then we ended up making a week later like 807 to the tire, 15 pounds of boost, ported supercharger, everything you could do to it. And yeah, my mufflers did not last very long, like literally 1 year, under 1 year, one season, and they were junk. The baffles like disintegrated. They were in pieces in there, chunks out. The exhaust would rattle. It sounded horrible. We opened it up trying to save it. Too late. Had to get a new set. Bought a new set of OEM ZR1 mufflers. Now, mind you, these mufflers now that are on my car, they've been on there now for 8 solid years, and I'm pushing a lot of power, a lot of boost. One thing I will say, you do it right the first time, build them up, reinforce them, you won't have problems. And here I am still with them, going strong. So like I said, 8 years going strong on these things, and I did find a restriction with them finally. Back in early 2020-ish, I did the 2650 conversion on my stock bottom end ZR1 with a 2.4 upper pulley, 14% lower, with a Speed Inc. SI9 stage 2.5 cam. The specs on that were 228, 242, 0.604, 622 lift on a 117 LSA. Obviously different cams can change boost on your car. Same with your head gaskets. Bigger cams can help bleed off more boost, but long story short, my car was making 25.5 pounds of boost on a stock bottom end on a hot summer day. So on a cold day, it was over 26, no doubt about it. We had the car on the dyno and made a run, pulled it off the dyno, took off the ZR1 mufflers and ran it with just the Cook's X-pipe, the 3-inch X-pipe, to see if there's any gain to be had. Sure enough, we picked up 20 to the tire, a little over 20, both horsepower and torque. The whole run dropped over a pound of boost. It was, I want to say 1.3 or 1.4 pounds it dropped and picked up power. So more boost isn't always better, guys. Like it's all in the setup in a sense. Like, I dropped boost, made more power because I freed up the system. The exhaust was restrictive. But again, this is on a max effort SBE car, pushing a lot, way more than I want to push. Like 25 is really up there. I recommend keeping the boost around 22, 23 max, especially on 2650s. Now with that, we're talking about a 2% horsepower loss or increase if you look at it with pulling them off or putting them on. Am I going to worry and cry about 2%? No, that's why I keep these ZR1 mufflers on my car, because they're dead quiet when cruising, and I mean that. You can hold a conversation. It's quiet like a library in there, basically. Want them loud, they can be loud. They can be both ends of the spectrum, basically. Super quiet, super loud. I guess. Get a lot of compliments on this exhaust. People are like, that's OEM. Like, yeah, it's modified OEM. It sounds phenomenal. It sounds better to me than my Corsas did. Even driving around, idling, and wide open throttle, they're definitely louder than the Corsas I had as well, for sure. And in all reality, if you want that power back, put a set of cutouts on the car so you have the best of everything. You get your power back, you drop boost. When you're done, close them back up, get electric cutouts. And everything's fine again. You really can't argue with that. I know some people just love having the Corsas or B&Bs or whatever. There's tons of C6 exhaust out there, but for the drone, I'm not going to settle for it. I like having a good quality ride. It's just me. I'm not going to sacrifice drivability, the ride quality, the sound quality. Like, it's just not for me. To each their own. And there's nothing wrong with anyone wanting to run anything otherwise, but don't think you're also picking up this magical, crazy amount of power either, unless you're really pushing the envelope on a stock bottom end. Or if you have more cubes, a 416 or a 427, then I could definitely see it. But otherwise, splitting hairs, man. So with all that being said, I could definitely see the muffler mod coming into effect on my setup if I want to do the full 3-inch conversion internally, where it would help, and it'd help the brake pressure, lower the boost. Then it would come into play. But if not, just do cutouts. You'll gain everything back and then some, especially if you have it right at the collector of the header or right after it, in a sense. That's gonna give you the most for sure. But otherwise, you know, the ZR1 exhaust really isn't that restrictive unless, like I said, you're really pushing the envelope like I am. And even then, it's 2%. 2% isn't all that crazy to me, in a sense. But hey, to each their own. Everyone has their own comfortability or whatever's a lot to them, in a sense, or a little. But yeah, that's why I run them, and that's why I've stuck with them all these years, and I will continue to do so. All right, so I was going through editing this video, and I forgot to touch on two key factors that I wanted to mention. So on my second ZR1, my 2013 ZR1, the one that I have now, when I did the muffler mod, I did not put back in the fiberglass packing. So on my first two that I did, like on my Z06 and my first ZR1, I did put it back in because I wasn't sure if it'd be too loud or sound like crap. But come to find out, it sounds great. So the fiberglass packing is just sound deadening material. And if you leave it out, it sounds great. There's no downside. It gives it a much more unique sound. It sounds louder, sounds tuned. I get a lot of compliments on it, but it's definitely a win-win in my situation. And if you want to put it back in, go for it. It's not going to hurt anything. It's personal preference. You want to run it, don't run it. Like I said, if I could go back and change the first two that I did, I definitely would have put it back in. I would have left it out just because how much better it sounds, in my opinion. And one other thing, if you're going to pull out that fiberglass packing, or either way, you have to pull it out when you're going to modify them, wear some gloves, wear some clothes that you probably don't care about that you want to toss after, because that shit will make you itchy. It sticks into your clothes, gets on your skin. So just want to give you guys a heads up on that. The other thing with why my exhaust broke so fast within the 1 year or one season is because it wasn't modified. By having those perforated holes internally, those exhaust gases leak into the chamber and created a lot of pressure, and over time it cracks the baffles. And with me, I'd always keep the car in normal operation mode or quiet mode. I have a dash logic, which you can switch between power mode, which is loud, normal mode, normal operation. The exhaust flaps don't open until above 3,000 like they normally do. And then quiet mode is just that, they will not open. And I remember making a few passes sometimes and forgot that it was in quiet mode, so there's just an extreme amount of pressure in there. And that just, it eats them up and kills the exhaust really quick. It destroys the baffles. Now, once you seal off those perforated holes, it helps the longevity of them. You don't have that exhaust gas leaking in there, so they will last longer. But if you reinforce the baffles, weld them up, they'll last you a lifetime. Like mine, they're still going, they're great. If you don't want to open up your exhaust and leave it just the way it is stock, I would advise pulling the fuse on the passenger side and just leaving them always wide open then. That way you limit or reduce the amount of like back pressure, in a sense, where the exhaust can get out. It'll help live a little longer. So thanks for watching. I appreciate the questions. I appreciate the DMs. And it's always fun interacting with you guys and educating and giving knowledge. So I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.